Flosstube, it's Jen, also known as Quirks and Stitches, and
Jen's mom, Cindy.
also known as Lee Sin around Instagram. We wanted to hop on today for a little bit of a different kind of Flosstube. You've probably seen some of the videos already, but we were invited by Shirl, Tranquil Stitches, to join her collaboration. This is the third of her collaborations, where the first was on, I think, designers, and then they did a series on fibers, the flosses. And this time she reached out to 10 other flosstubers, so myself and then 10 other people that are going to be talking about fabrics. And so we wanted to just get on today and share a little bit about first our background into fabrics, and then I'm going to talk about a current dyer that I enjoy stitching on. So when I first started stitching, I followed my mom's method because she's my finisher. And the trouble that we have with a lot of the hand-dyed fabrics nowadays is they're not color fast. And so when I started stitching, I did a lot on, when I first started, I was on Aida predominantly, which we like Charles Craft, right?
Well, Charles Craft was the best that you could buy at the store, at Hobby Lobby, at craft stores. Then there was Zweigart, and there were other even better Aidas, but you didn't want to go below Charles Craft.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I think my only experience on Aida was Charles Craft. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever stitched on
there's
Zweigart
not that,
Aida and stuff like that.
It's more
there's
expensive.
A bouncing thing on my screen, so just hold on. Thank you for bearing with me for that. It was going to drive me crazy if I had to look at it the entire time. So that's what and then I did what she did. So for the first probably 3-4 years, it really wasn't until last year that I kind of took the dive into hand-dyed fabrics. I did the raw natural linens. And it's because my mom finishes, and she finishes the way she was taught or learned, right? And it's getting it wet. And then I threw a whole kink in the game when I started stitching on the hand-dyed fabrics and using overdyed floss that you're not supposed to get wet. So I will let her talk a little bit, and I will shut up.
Okay, yes. Years ago, when we started this out 40 years ago, when it was first new, all we had was Aida, and nobody was really doing linen. And then as it progressed, linen became available, and through Woodshell and Zweigart. And just the raw, and we had some, it's all even weave. All the jargon today, it's really confused me because I was out of it. And even weave just means going both directions. It's going to be the same count.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the terminology today is an even weave is going to be more of a synthetic linen, where every stitch is going to be exactly the same, or as opposed to a raw linen, some threads run thinner. Right. And it evens out in the end. Right. But I think that's what the difference in today's terminology is between an even weave.
And some of it, but it just means that if it's 30 threads one way, it's going to be 30 threads another way. And that was part of the problem when we first started stitching, and this became popular. Some of the lesser expensive Aidas even, I can remember getting one and thinking, oh, this is on sale, I'll get this. And when I started stitching something that should have been a square, it wasn't. And when I measured, well, one way it was 14 count, and the other way it was 12. And so even with, when you're counting 28 stitches, and with the raw linen, there's going to be sometimes narrow ones, skinny ones, and then you'll have a fat one. It still ends up, if you measure an inch, you're going to get 28 of them both ways. So it's an even weave. So if you have a square and it's 10 by 10, it's going to look like a square. If it's not an even weave, it will not look like a square. And so, but I think you're right. I think now when people say even weave, they mean
each thread is the same.
Right. They mean the man-made ones that would be, like Lugana and Jobelin and some of Linda used to be one. Salem cloth used to be one. So they were a lot. But so, and then what we stitched on was, I liked raw because it was dark. It came in white. It came in white, ivory, and we call it dirty linen, which was a brown linen, this is a piece. Do you want to hold it up? Because I'm not good at that. And that was really popular. And of course, I did a lot of sampler work. I love samplers that looked old. Here's something that's done up on it. You tell I'm getting ready to put my fall stuff out. So that gave you that old effect. And the thing with this not hand dyed was when we would frame things, we got them wet. You either put a little soap in them, but you didn't ever do much. It was very mild. You got them all wet. put them on your ironing board upside down, and you ironed them dry, and they got nice and starched again and were very easy then to frame. So that's how I learned to frame. That's how I taught it in my class to learn how to frame. Then you laced it, you did whatever. So, and then a big deal came when they came out with tea-dyed. But once again, the factory did it. So this is a piece of tea-dyed, and I don't know if you can tell. It was just a little, kind of
we
like
buy
a tea.
really large pieces of fabric
yeah.
and cut them to size.
Right.
So we are not people that buy specific to project sizes. We cut it ourselves.
But it wasn't somebody just doing it. It was in the fabric.
Right.
The manufacturers did it. So it was starched. It was washed. It was not going to run. This is something that was done on a tea dyed. So that gave it a little look that was different than the dirty linen, the dark linen. You had lighter, but it wasn't as light as ivory or as white. So that's,
I don't like stitching on light fabric.
Right, I know. Well, and I don't so much either anymore because you can see the threads.
If you've got the threads through it.
I hate seeing it underneath. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So, and I've just pretty much stuck with that because, I stitched, then I kind of got away from it. I was teaching, I was doing miniature dollhouse stuff, just little things. And then when we started to get back into it, the hand-dyed stuff had just become available. And then it's like Jen wanted to do it, and then I go, well, how do we do it? Well, it may run, it's not color fast, and that and the floss, the fibers were like freaking me out. I was so I was really, really nervous about it. Now I've since watched some videos. R&R I think it was R&R had a really good one on how they press their fabric, and so I've gotten a little braver with it, but I still, even when I do it their way, don't feel like it gets as nice and
it doesn't
as
get
pressed.
Quite as taut.
And then what I find is when I'm framing it, then I'm stretching it too much, and then that distorts the stitches. So I have to be careful because I like to get all the things out. So most everything I do is on just the regular.
The regular. She has done a couple. I think you did. I don't know. She's usually just the regular.
Or it's going to be
kind
little.
Of getting her in. The hand-dyed stuff with floss first.
Right, because
she's starting to use some of that with the color fast things. Right. My first foray into... Am I good?
Yep, you're good.
My first foray into... I don't even know if that's the right word, but I'm going with it. As long as I embrace it, I think I'm okay. I started to see, because I was very active on Instagram, so I started to see people stitching on the overdyed fabrics. And I think probably the first dyer that I came into contact with was Picture This Plus. And I have to tell you, to be frankly honest, my first response was that I didn't like it because it's very modeled. It's very, some of the fabric colors can be very bright, and I'm not. I'm used to the natural stuff. I'm used to just kind of having the fabric be a back piece, not draw your attention in. So at first glance, I was like, I don't know. I don't think I can do that. I want the attention to be on my stitching, not on the fabric. But then I bought some. And I pulled some pieces out because I was like, I don't know how I want to talk to you guys about this. I did reach out. We'll backtrack 1 second. I'm talking about Picture This Plus, if you haven't caught that already. I did reach out to the dyer, but she's on vacation, and so I got an away message back. So I wasn't able to get any individualized information from her. But something I didn't know before this little research was that they are actually a shop as well. So they dye their fabric. They're located in Kansas, and they also have a cross-stitch shop. So they sell patterns and they sell their fabric through it. They're actually running a sale right now, so you should check it out. There's 15% off their patterns and a 5% off their fabric. So if you want to give it a shot after I talk about it a little bit and you haven't already, it is available on their website. Most LNSs are also going to be carrying it. It's a pretty well-known fabric. But the first piece that I ever stitched on Picture This Plus fabric is this. And this was on a piece of 32 count doubloon. And I really liked it because it has a little bit of the modeling, but it doesn't overwhelm. It's not overpowering, I didn't think. So I actually, when we finished this, didn't tell my mom that it was hand dyed. So this was finished the regular way. So it got wet, it was pressed, it was everything. Because I didn't realize that I wasn't really supposed to be doing that. So didn't harm it at all. And really with the lighter colors, I don't know that there's that much of a concern with it because it's not like a red that's going to be bleeding through. And like I said, I gravitate towards much more muted color schemes. When I do something though, I like to finish all of a series in the same thing. So I had a piece of doubloon for that and I had forgotten what it was called. And so when I went to get the one for the winter, I pulled what I thought would look like it. And I didn't get doubloon. I got Legacy. And that kind of started like a little love affair with Legacy because I stitch a lot on Legacy right now. This is also 32 count. And I have the spring and the summer of this. This is Lizzie Kate's. It was autumn and winter, and I'm reluctantly doing spring and summer on the Legacy. We just swap them out. So I use the same frame. I think I've said this before, but like this was in this morning, but it's closer to fall. So we changed it over to the fall one. So that's why it's not framed. This is another example of something that I did. This is also Legacy. This one is 40 count. I have found that their dyeing is very consistent between counts. So Legacy is going to look the same whether it's on 32 count fabric or 40 count fabric. I don't have a whole lot of experience with their Aida. I don't stitch on Aida. I did pull Brandon because I know some of the things that he's doing are on Aida, and we realized that he's not writing down what his fabrics are. So we had a little talk about how I always keep track of that so that I know. And we had one that I really wanted to show you, but I don't know what it's on, so I couldn't tell you if it was really Picture This Bliss or not. But that's also a Legacy. I have a bunch more finished on their stuff. So I'm just going to go through that pile. And then I went through my stash as well, just to show you some of the maybe brighter colors. They have a huge variety of colors. Like I said, I gravitate towards the darker hues and the not as bright, but that's just my personality. In general, you probably have caught that by now.
Dull.
I'm dull and boring, and I just like plain things. No, I like my personality to shine through, not the other stuff. Yeah. This is also on Legacy. This was on 32 count Legacy. When I like a fabric, I stitch a lot of things on that fabric. This is on 32 count Legacy. And this is on 40 count Legacy. I also am doing Miss Isabella Black. I did her on 40 count Legacy, and I'm doing Sir William Black on that. And then Brandon started stitching. And I knew when Brandon started stitching that Picture This Bliss fabric was going to be his thing. Like, he was really going to like the different colors, and that was going to be something that was going to pull him in. So one of the first projects we bought for him to do was the pirate ship by Cross-Eyed Cricket, Dead Man's Ship, I think. And I was at, I think it was Strawberry Sampler in Pennsylvania. And I was like, I'm going to get him some fabric and I'm going to get him linen and we'll see how it goes. Well, it didn't go. But I saw a piece of Murky on 36 count. And I was like, I think that is like the perfect Halloween fabric. Like, it was great. He just tried it and couldn't get the 36 count, so I got the fabric. So I stitched this. This is on Murky. And Murky is probably one of the more modeled, like, it has a whole lot of different sections kind of come off in different ways. So this is part of the 36 count piece that I got. But I get a big piece and then I cut it down. So you'll see, like, the modeling is different throughout the pieces. Like this piece, it's darker up in this corner, but it's still the 36 count Murky. One more example for you. 36 count Murky. This is my ideal Halloween fabric. I think it's just perfect. It's just got that little spookiness. Yeah. When I was at what's our store? Craft Gallery for their
Colin Carlton.
I do know what I'm talking about. I'm still not feeling 100%, guys, and I'm hobbling around like I had my hip replaced, which I did, but not recently.
Scary.
So I picked up a bunch of different colors of stuff in their Super Bowl sale. And so this was one of the ones that I picked up there. It's not a typical Jen color. It's earthen, and it's very pinky. It's got a very pink hue. It's kind of hard to tell here. But it's a very pretty color. And again, I've gotten used to, when I first saw the fabrics, I really thought the modeling would detract from the stitching, and it doesn't. And so I've embraced it. This is on a piece of 32 count Echo, which I thought was really pretty as well. This is a Fog, 32 count Fog. Very light, it's very just...
That's really pretty.
And the nice thing I found, their fabric, it's very consistent. I like stitching on it. It has a good feel when I'm going through it. I haven't ever picked up a piece. Sometimes different dyers that I've used, I'll pick up one color and I really like it, but then I'll pick up another color and I'll be like, I don't like the consistency, or I can't get my tension right on it. I don't have a problem getting my tension right on their fabric. This is Ale. This is a 36 count. It's very brown. I like that piece as well. I'm doing a lot of things with it. This was also on Ale, the Moth. And then I went through my whip basket to see if I had any other colors that I could show you guys. And I had a couple. So this is Wren. This is a piece of 40 count Wren. It's very similar to Legacy, but it's got a little bit of a different, it's not as, I think it's like a lighter dye. And this is a piece of 40 count Parchment, which I'm doing that mystery map by Ink Circles, which I was like, oh, it's like a piece of parchment. This is Mellow, Mallow, I don't know how to say it, guys. The curse of whole language learning to read. And this is the same. It's kind of yellowy. I really like it for the pandy piece though, because like the backing, I only stitch with one strand on 36 count. You can kind of see through. So, and then I just went through and I pulled out a couple of my stash pieces just so you guys could see like the comparison. So this is Echo in 32 count, and this is Echo in 28 count. So the dye is very similar. You can't really tell the difference based on counts, which I think is really nice. They have this one, the Barnwood. It's kind of like a dark brownish purplish almost, which is really pretty. And again, I have it in 32 count and 28 count.
Both.
And it's very similar. This is the rest of my piece of that. No, that looks pinker. This is what I did the Sister Stitcher on. This is Earthen. That's a 32 count. This is a piece that I got in a stitchy box, which is very yellow. I pick up swatches when I can for little things. This is Monster Mash. It's very green. It's not showing up as bright as it is, but it's very green. I thought Halloween would go well on that as well. And Oaken is another one that I feel like I would really like stitching on, and this is the only piece I have of it, so I'll have to experiment some. But I've really enjoyed kind of having the difference in the fabrics and seeing some differences on the things that I've been stitching hanging up on my wall. So I would encourage you to check them out to see, if there's going to be any colors that might gravitate or speak to you. Like I said, some of the colors don't. They're not me. It's not going to be my style stitching, but I'm not everybody. And there's just a ton that there's just a ton that you're going to be able to pull from, and the fabric you're getting is good. So if you're drawn to one of the colors, I would say it's pretty much a good bet that you're going to like stitching on it. They do also offer crystal dyed stuff that's going to have that little bit of shimmer to go with it. I haven't experienced with it just because I'm
Not
plain Jane.
Yeah.
Speaking of being fairly plain, this color is not, it doesn't speak to me. Don't think, I've held on to it for a long time just thinking that maybe I would find something, and honestly, I'm not this shade yellow person. So if you have never tried Picture This Plus fabric, or this is your favorite color ever, and you would like to, I'd like you to just let me know below, and just, let's see, we will do a giveaway, and you can tell me what fabric I should try. If you have a fabric that you would recommend that I try. So just say that below. You have to be over 18, have to live in the United States, sorry. And don't say giveaway, don't do any of that kind of stuff, but comment below and I will get this out to you. We will pull, see, I've been filming on Mondays. I will pull next Monday. So not tomorrow, but the following Monday I will pull for a winner for that and get this out. So I think that it's opened my world up to hand-dyed fabric. And I have a whole bunch of people that I stitch on now. But, you get to know, and once you're comfortable with a dyer, I kind of buy whatever I can, because then I know I'm safe to go experiment on it. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, and I think that the fabric itself is less intimidating to me than the fibers that are hand dyed, because I know some of them are, and so I'm not really concerned as much now when I press this off or when I'm finishing something on this, that the fabric itself is going to run or bleed. It's more the fibers on it, and if they're not saying that they're color fast, then that's what scares me. And I'm thinking, you work so hard on something, and then to have something run or bleed, it's just ruin the piece.
Well, and I guess if you guys have tips on finishing without getting things wet, we have been playing with starches. So I'll do like the Niagara starch or the Best Press. And for the most part, I'm happy with it. I do get a little worried sometimes that it's like, you can tell when I spray it on, in particular, Lakeside linen, I feel like I'm seeing it when I iron it out. But it's modeled too, so I don't know if I'm just making it up in my head, which is totally possible. But, I've really enjoyed what I've tried. And like I said, if you were scared to make the jump into overdyed because you think it's going to detract from your stitching, I don't think it does.
Well, I think it depends the color that you're going to...
It does.
I think it depends on the piece, because I think that, and I think that was one of the reasons I steered more clear of it. But see, I don't even like, and this is when it probably started, I don't necessarily like a reproduction
to look like a reproduction.
Right. If I have a reproduction sampler, I want the real one that really looks old. I don't like trying to do a new one, making it look old. It's just not my preference. So you don't want to make
the mistakes that the kids made when they
were
doing
I don't. Yeah.
That.
Oh no. Oh no. I have to correct them.
We're gonna lose a bunch of followers from this one, but okay.
Well, no, it's just my preference. I like to have the words spelled and all together. I mean, that's how and I think some with the material looking like it was stained would bother me. But it looks perfectly, and for me to stitch, but when I look at other stitchers, and because I'm visual, when I see something done, I want to do it on the same thing, but when you're doing a hand-dyed thing, they don't always look the same.
Right.
So you could pick, and that's the same way with the fibers,
floss,
you could pick a floss, and you think it's that color, and then you see it, and it's like, oh, it's not that color. So that, but the more she does it, obviously I'm doing more, but my days are limited, and I can
goodness, we're not going there.
Well, I can only stitch so much stuff.
Oh, your days are limited.
My days are limited. Stitching. I mean, am I going to be stitching in 20 years?
Yes.
And hanging stuff on my walls are limited. That's what's limited. My house is limited. And as long as I have rented downstairs, I can't hang anything down there anymore.
Messing up.
So she's messing it up.
One thing I would say, fabric wise, is I very seldomly change floss. I pretty much, when a pattern tells me that I'm supposed to stitch on a specific floss, I use it. It's starting to change. I have never been that way with fabric. I consistently change what patterns call for to either what I have in my stash or what I think it would look good on. So I just think that that's something that a lot of people don't do. A lot of people are like, oh, well, it calls to be stitched on Weeks Dye Works, or it calls to be stitched on this. If you don't want to stitch on that, don't change it. There's a lot of freedom in this, and I've always felt free to change the fabric. I've never felt like I was, and maybe it's because I view the stitching as the design, not what when I see a cross-stitch pattern, I'm not looking at what it's stitched on, I don't think.
Right. I think know. Not so much, yeah.
But, try out something else. If you see a piece of fabric that's really speaking to you, try it. The worst it is, I've started things and it's not working and I stop it. And, for the most part, you can pick it out or you can just cut a corner off. So, like I said, Picture This Plus is doing a sale right now. It is, I believe, hold on, I did save it or had it open. So if you go to their I did, and then we were trying to figure out okay, so it's 15 off patterns is the coupon code for the patterns. And then for the fabric, it's a 5% off bonus is the coupon code. 5% sign bonus coupon code for the fabric. That is good for today and tomorrow. It is their Labor Day sale. So if you want to check it out and give it a try, that's a great place to do so. Also, if you would like to stitch on this yellow, it's called Moon Glow. And it's a piece of 36 count linen. So if this is your speed, I really do like the color. I just don't think I have anything that I would like on it. Or hanging in my house. It's very bright. I'm just not a bright person. So I would love to be able to share that with you because I'd rather it be stitched on than sitting in a basket not being. So check out the other people. I'm going to link below everybody else that is doing the collaboration. I'm excited to see what other fabrics are being stitched. Again, it's the third thing. Thank you so much, Shirl, for inviting us. Check her out. I will try also to link the preview that she did. She did a little like trailer for us. So we wanted to just, thank her for letting us be a part of this. But it's a great time to cozy up and learn a little bit more about fabric and see what else is out there. So...
Okay.
Yeah. Keep on making those X's, guys. Be back hopefully tomorrow. Ooh, that'll be 3 in a row.
Ooh.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.